Conversate for a few.
Welcome to the next episode of Conversate for a Few. I'm Jonna.
I'm Alan. This is not a podcast about classical music.
Absolutely is not. This is a podcast about hip hop. What we doing today, bro?
We're going to discuss what it means to cross over in hip hop.
All right.
Now, what do you want to start with, the music or just the concept of crossing over?
We got to start with the concept of crossing over. Because then we can go from what crossing over meant early
Right.
to what it means now. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it means something completely different across eras. You know?
Yeah. But so, okay. All right. Yeah, because across eras, it came to mean something that people strive for, as opposed to the further you go backwards in time of hip hop history, it was something that you didn't want.
It was frowned upon. It was like it was basically selling out.
You selling out, yeah.
Yeah. So we could say from the I would dare to say that the first 5 to 7 years in hip hop, that wasn't even something that was considered. Like if you made major success, people were just happy for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you had a hit that quote unquote crossed over to top 40 radio or something, like they playing basketball, I imagine they play in different places. Walk This Way. Well, I would say pre-Walk This Way. I think Walk This Way is a line in the sand. Maybe we'll get to that.
Right. I want to get to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. But I think real early, like Rapper's Delight was a smash, comparatively speaking, right?
Yeah.
Rapper's Delight was a smash. So I don't think nobody was frowning on that because it crossed over, because more people were listening to it than expected. What you think?
Yeah. No. No, I agree. I think that I never heard about anyone having a problem with the record being popular and reaching audience outside of what was expected. Now, what we do know in later years is people having a problem with them stealing
Yeah.
song,
Yeah.
which we already covered in other past episodes, creating this, which produced the stigma of ghostwriting in hip hop.
Right. Yeah, that was a fatal flaw that came along with the first released hip hop song, right? But I still don't think hip hop on the whole really understands. I think that's a theory that we've gotten to the bottom of that most people don't really recognize. So I don't think people even look upon that song as bad as they should. You know, I think Cass probably look upon that song bad, but most people don't even know it's stolen. You know,
Right.
So it didn't affect the appeal of it crossing over or not. The earliest songs I can remember being like super hits that even had the ability to cross over, I would say they playing basketball.
Curtis Blow joint. He didn't write that either.
Nah, he didn't write that either. He didn't write nothing though.
Right.
You know what I mean? But is that a bad thing? You feel me? Yeah. Is it a bad thing? You know, did he make some fire? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did the person that wrote it have his voice? Probably not. Because if he had his voice, charisma, and you know what I mean, and swag, he'd have went in the booth and did that himself.
Right. For sure.
So, but that's another topic for another day. We gotta cross that bridge too. We gotta talk about that again. You know what I
mean? Yeah.
But I think we can go ahead and get to the elephant in the room, man.
Okay, let's go ahead. So, but first, before we do that, let's give our personal definition of what it means to cross over.
Or is that bet? Yeah. Okay. What you got one in mind?
Right. So, me crossing over meant at that time, I would say in the earlier developments of hip hop, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
it meant, yes, reaching an audience outside of the small narrow group you probably initially was
Mm.
going to reach, but it implies that you somehow compromise,
Yeah.
I mean, some of yourself to get the
Yeah.
broader audience, to draw in the audience that are really outside of the hip hop community, right? Core
Yeah.
based community.
Yeah.
Some, you know what I mean? And you reach it, as you mentioned, top 40 charts and these charts. It generally implies that you did something and now your integrity,
Okay.
you know what I mean, is kind of shady because it generally implied that you compromise some of your principles or values that you're supposed to stand on.
Okay. So my definition was very similar to yours, so I don't think I really need to spout mine, right?
Okay.
Because it was so similar to what you was gonna say. But I'm gonna read dictionary.com what
Okay.
they're, and this is, they have a few, but under number 3 is like, the first one is a regular old noun,
Right.
genetics crossing over, number 2, and then number 3 is under popular music, right?
Right.
So A, the act of crossing over in style, usually with the intention of broadening the commercial appeal to a wider audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
B, music that crosses over in style, occasionally sharing attributes with several musical styles and therefore often appealing to a broader audience,
Mm-hmm.
right? So with what the way you defined it, which is something that I agree with, right?
Yeah.
It really boils down to the intent and how we got to the point of crossing over. The elephant in the room that I was talking about is Walk This Way, that we mentioned briefly for a
Right.
second.
Right.
Walk This Way is the definition
It was,
of,
yeah.
of a crossover hip hop song. Based on the dictionary.com definition, it is it
Absolutely.
right.
That second one that you read, where it said there was intent and like basically intentionally done with using attributes of another, you know what I
Right.
mean,
Right.
genre.
Right.
Where
Right.
they specifically used rock music, specifically collaborated with Aerosmith to make it.
Yeah. Not only did they use rock music, they used rock lyrics. We was just talking about Curtis Blow and
Right.
and not having written those rhymes. Run DMC recited the lyrics from Aerosmith in that song.
Yeah.
You know, backseat lover with my lady undercover. You know, all that good stuff. Like Run and
Yeah.
DMC didn't write that. That's in the original, bro. So
Right.
that's a true crossover, and we didn't reject it, did we?
No.
I don't remember. I know I didn't. I can't speak for nobody else. I can speak on what I saw and the people around me, the kids that I was around. We didn't reject that,
Mhm.
you know.
And it's funny, I was younger than you when it came out. I loved it when it came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because I hadn't seen something like that, I was it was a little bit shocking to me, but I liked the sound of it. But like when you saw the
Mm-hmm.
visual, the video, them in the video with the, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, the rock dudes, I was like, this is something different. I didn't know exactly how to
How to
digest it.
take it? Yeah, you
Right,
really know how to take that. Yeah,
right,
yeah,
because
yeah.
I had never seen it and I wasn't used to it at that time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of us were ready for it, which is why
Yeah,
I think it worked. Well, you know what's funny is I think Rick Rubin knew we were ready for it
I was
because
just about to say,
he had already given us Beastie Boys, right?
mm-hmm,
If I'm not, yeah, definitely. He had already given us Beastie Boys, so he knew that rock and roll. I mean, hell, there were hits from Run DMC that incorporated rock music before that, and those weren't
yeah,
crossover songs in particular.
right, right,
You know, Rock Box is you know what I mean? That's straight
yeah,
rock chord, power chords
mm-hmm,
with big drums. You know,
mm-hmm,
so that wasn't the first time they did it. It's just like they took it a step further when they incorporated Aerosmith and Aerosmith's lyrics and a rock song that we knew.
right.
You
And
know,
then the visuals,
right,
the video,
right. Being on stage with Aerosmith, in the studio with
right,
Aerosmith, like that combined hip hop, that took hip hop and mashed it attributed different styles of music to broaden the audience. You
Right.
know, uh,
Everything from the lyrics to the beat to
yeah,
the appearance,
yeah,
everything was intentionally done.
everything. And I would dare to say though it was done with a level of integrity. It
I
had to
was
have been because we didn't reject it. We didn't
we
reject it.
did, right. We didn't reject it, and it was quality.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
it was quality music.
yeah.
A lot, and we'll get to I guess some other examples of crossover music in which there was some compromising and the
Yes,
quality wasn't as high. You know what I
absolutely.
mean? The music wasn't as good.
Right.
You could tell they was reaching for the hit and
For
they
the hit,
didn't make it.
exactly, exactly. Now I do want to introduce a word right now that I think we probably need to keep in
Uh,
mind.
yeah.
No, I don't know if I'm saying the word. If I'm gonna say the word you're thinking about,
Okay.
the word is cynicism.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought you
At,
was
at
going
the
to say hit.
oh nah, at the age that we got, uh, walk this way. I don't know if we had developed a certain level of cynicism yet.
Mhm.
You know, by the time we got later in life, where some others did, I mean, intentionally attempted to cross over, I think maybe
Mhm.
we had developed a little cynicism and we were like, nope, we not having it. You know,
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
maybe that played a part into it. And I want to make sure we keep that in mind, even though we judging the quality of some of these things that shouldn't have been done. Um,
Right.
after Walk This Way, who would you say like the next major crossover like what would you say the next major crossover was?
Now,
And
what year was
I
that?
know you younger than me. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So this is
Right.
gonna be harder for you to do.
Right. Now, what year was Walk This Way? Do you remember the year? And
Shit, no,
okay, and now the
no,
reason why I'm
sir.
asking is because it's something that we can't get around in a minute. We'll have to discuss.
Okay,
Um, but you looking it up?
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead. I'm
cool.
listening to you.
No,
It was
I
in
just want to know
it
the
was
year.
86. It was 86.
86.
So I was what 11.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is a quick sidebar, bro.
Yeah.
In the year 1986 made me think about it. Um, I don't know what me and my girl was talking about the other day in the car, but I decided that I was gonna let her hear Two Live Crew because she's about your age, right? She's what, six
Yeah.
years younger than me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she's your age.
Yeah.
Um, she didn't listen. She didn't hear Two Live Crew when it was out. She
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
All she heard were the videos. She didn't know what the records was like. So we skimmed two or three Two Live Crew albums,
Mm-hmm.
bruh. And that shit came out in '96, bruh, bruh. Go back one day and just
Just
go
listen.
without. Make sure your
I,
kids ain't nowhere near you.
right. Right.
You
I
might
haven't
not
heard
even need
it in
your
a
wife
while.
nowhere near you. Like you may need to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
somewhere like get in the garage and listen to shit by yourself. But anyway, where was we at, man? I'm sorry I took us on a
I'm
tangent.
thinking
Walk this
of what
way.
was the next big crossover record, and that was you said that was 80. What did you say?
86.
That was 86.
Yeah.
What was the next big? Yo, funny. I don't know. I'm going to just say.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna say Vanilla Ice.
Oh wow. Okay. Um no. I'm going there was a movement that happened in 89, 90 that unintentionally crossed over. And that was
Okay.
Public Enemy.
Right now, and that's the other thing. That's good. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
Unintentional crossovers are the best.
Or the best. Or the absolute best. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and the funny thing is for what Public Enemy was saying, that was not supposed to cross over.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last possible, but those sometimes because it has so much integrity, that may
Mm-hmm.
just be why it had integrity. It had the frenetic energy of heavy metal and rock music. You know what I mean? It had a
Mm-hmm.
whole lot of things. It did have unintentionally, I think, the attributes of other styles of music.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, because when they got with Anthrax, that's how I found out about Anthrax. That was my introduction to heavy metal. Public Enemy was my
Okay.
introduction to heavy metal.
Okay.
Public Enemy and my cousin Lito, because he found the Anthrax uh and Public Enemy remix and introduced me to that,
Mm-hmm.
and then he turned me on to the whole Anthrax album. I turned my little homie, my best friend David onto it. Like, we was just,
Yeah, yeah.
at the same time that I'm listening to Public Enemy, on the other hand, I'm drawing anarchy symbols, listening to Anthrax and
Yeah, that's
wilding.
wild. That's a wild
Yeah.
contrast.
Yeah, and I'm 13 years old, 11, 12,
Mm-hmm.
13 when this is happening, right? So
Right.
they 100% crossed over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
100% crossed over. Uh,
And that's good because their crossover was unintentional. It was
yeah,
organic. It was organic.
there you
So
go.
it's respectable. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And then we talked about, and even if you do intentional, like Walk This Way is an intentional
right.
crossover, but it was done with integrity. They didn't compromise anything. Um,
Yeah,
they just had a desire to, brought in the audience. But to be honest, where would we think the first big crossover record would come from? Then from somebody that's connected with Rick Rubin. So
right.
it made sense.
It
You know
made
what I
perfect
mean?
sense. It made perfect sense. Made
Yeah.
perfect sense. Yeah. I mean,
E-
it made perfect sense. And like I said before, it made so much sense because he had almost been priming us for it,
Right.
you know?
Now watch this. Just to show the consistency with Rick Rubin, as you say, from the Beastie Boys, he was priming us with it, then hit us with they did the collab. I'm sure he was the mastermind behind, yo, you should do this with Aerosmith. You
Yeah.
think of and then even we fast forward years forward, 99 Problems.
I knew that was coming. Yep. Yep.
That's heavy rock.
Heavy
Rick
rock
Rubin
is,
behind it.
yeah,
You
it's
know what I
it's
mean?
actually it's rock and go-go
Right. It is. It
mixed
is, bro.
together. It's like
Yeah, it
rock and
is.
go-go. So it's again,
Mhm.
that's
Attributes are different.
now, okay. Philosophically, the definition of crossing over is the way hip hop is built. It's the way you build hip hop music. You take attributes from everywhere.
Right. Like sampling. Yeah.
Sampling. Like, you might
Yeah.
get your drum break from this rock group. You might get your bass tone from this jazz joint. You might get your melody from, you know what I mean? From
Mm-hmm.
a soul joint, like, and it's all just chopped up and blended. So the way
Mm-hmm.
hip hop is made inherently, it probably should cross over more than it does.
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
true.
If you're doing it from the heart and enough people get it, it seems like it probably should cross over more. We probably might need to redefine crossover. Well, we'll get to that though, because
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
you know. Uh, but yeah, Public Enemy, man, was important. Uh,
Right. It was. It
it
was.
was important with you know broadening what hip hop meant to an audience. You
Mm-hmm.
know, uh, that shit start getting sketchy after that.
Right. So that was
Yeah,
now, mind you, that was what did you say?
89, 90,
80,
91.
89, 90. And this is what I was looking up. That's why I asked
Yeah,
about the Walk This Way. Now you said stuff started getting sketchy after that, which is
yeah.
why in 1992 we get EPMD keep the crossover.
Yep, yep. Absolutely. Shit was getting sketchy. So people were starting to speak out against it.
Right.
It was starting to be, like you was, but because I think people was swinging for the fences at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and hip hop was such a new art, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion, that swinging for the fences could get sketchy, bro. You could
Yeah.
start doing some real, you know,
Mm-hmm.
plastic sounding stuff trying
Right.
to attain mass popularity,
Right,
Uh,
right. Now we're in the danger zone. Now that's with the sketchy plastic
yeah,
stuff. See, this
yeah.
is what generally is understood as crossing over. We already
Now
talked
we in,
about
yep.
organic stuff that just like EPMD, or some the intentional stuff that's done with integrity, like a Walk This Way, Run DMC, that's still dope, didn't
Yeah,
compromise nothing, right? But then because you got people swinging for the fences, really they're acts of desperation for the
yeah,
game has popularity or money or success, whatever the case is. Now that's when you get to people kind of doing and saying whatever gimmicky,
yeah.
whatever they think will work to grab that attention. Really, part in truth, part of crossing over in this sense, with integrity is compromised, is equivalent to clout chasing.
It very much so is.
What I think.
Very much so is. Very much so is. Very much so is. Um, and it's funny it's so much like clout chasing, and it's funny that it is, because clout chasers of the day come and go pretty fast, in my opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the people that really intentionally swung for the fences and went for the
Mm-hmm.
crossover, they don't sit at the front of my mind.
Right.
Like, those people are extremely forgettable, or the moments that they did it are extremely forgettable. You know, the ones that didn't work, you forget completely.
Right. So I have a question, a quick question, and you been in it longer than me, this hip hop thing, so you would know, right? Do
Right.
you feel that crossing over gave birth to one hit wonders? Do you think like we even the fact that we it's such a thing as a one hit wonder was based off of crossing over, people swinging for the fences with certain records
You know what? Nah, I don't think so. I think one hit
that
wonders.
came independent?
Well, yeah, I think sometimes you can become a one hit wonder because you swung for the fences first time out. But I mean, almost everybody that go in the studio is swinging for the fences. It's all in your approach.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I honestly think one hit wonders maybe are uh victims of their own success. Like, that first song is bigger than the person, gets bigger
Mhm.
than person, and it outsizes their talent. You know, you get lightning in a bottle on the first one, and you generally only create thunder. But now
Yeah.
everybody want lightning every time. You can't never get that back. But if you'd have had thunder the first time, you probably could have built a nice fan base. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think sometimes that's where it comes from. Like, you really fall up on that one, and
Right.
they go to the world, and it just get bigger than you.
Yeah.
You
I can
know?
see that.
Yeah. But
So what are some of the examples that come to mind when we talk about this dark area of crossing over?
the first word people trying to figure out right now that's watching this, trying to figure out why we ain't said MC Hammer name yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's they trying to figure out why we ain't said his name yet.
Hmm.
Um,
I have a reason why.
tell me.
Because he rode with 40 people, 40 killers from Oakland, and he pressed everybody that tried to play him, including Redman.
Bro don't play no games out
Yeah,
here. Yeah, he don't
yeah,
play no games. He
right.
coming at your neck. You talk crazy. Now I'm gonna tell you something about MC Hammer, dog. Everybody act like they front on Hammer right now, and it's just natural to do. But I swear to you, there was a period in time where Hammer was okay to listen to.
Bro. People, I ain't gonna. People fronting. People liked him.
That
I
first
remember.
album, that first
I
album was
remember.
rocking, bruh.
Yeah.
That
People.
first
I don't know
album
why
was
everyone act like they didn't like
rocking
MC Hammer.
because he got that. This is where I'm talking about cynicism. This is where I think cynicism starts to come into play. He got too big too fast. And when he got that big, he came back around. He started using extremely recognizable samples, things that now you swinging for the fences. You ain't even making music for us. That first album won't for them.
Right. It was for us. It just happened to be what it was.
Exactly. It was organic.
And the reason why I didn't say him also is because it wasn't that he had one song; he had multiple songs.
What?
He won't know one hit
What?
wonder.
Nah, he
He
wasn't
had
nowhere near
multiple
no one
songs.
hit wonder. No, he
Yeah,
wasn't he wasn't nowhere near the one hit one. Now the
right.
later stuff was just whack. By
Right.
the time he got the
Later
Too
stuff
Legit
was
to
whack.
Quit and all that good stuff, and what's the joint where he was doing the typewriter joint with the Super Freak video?
Yeah,
Can't touch this. Like
yeah,
by the time he got there, that's when people was calling him a sellout.
right.
You know what I mean? Like that's when the sellout crossover stuff can happen.
There's two elements. You just said something about start using extremely recognizable samples.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I look at what he was wearing,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking now, did
Hmm.
Puff jack that whole style and redo it in a different era? Well, because listen, he used the
Hey,
same formula, shiny suits. That's what people bring up. He's known for the
yeah,
shiny suits and extremely recognizable samples that really just
mm-hmm.
all looped up, ain't even chopped.
Yeah. What he did, I don't know that he knowingly did it, but he basically came with the same exact package as Hammer, but fly.
Right, but yeah, more fly. Yeah,
Like Hammer didn't bring you lifestyle; he brought you
yeah.
show.
He
That
brought
was
the
the
show.
show.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Puff pretty much took that show and showed you what that lifestyle from an East Coast perspective would look like.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So he put that
Yeah.
on every artist, and he put them in a lane and made it that. So
Hmm.
it was very there are definitely parts of what Hammer was doing that worked for Puff.
Yeah.
But Puff will sell out. Like people didn't respect what Puff was doing.
Yeah, you know how I felt.
Yeah, I know how
See,
you
because
felt.
as you said, the cynicism hadn't set in yet. By that time,
You was deep in it. Pause.
deep in it.
Swimming in cynicism. I feel you.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, I couldn't even. It skipped me, bro. Like that hate for what Puff was doing skipped me, and I guess
I
because
think because he was a producer, it skipped
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
as an MC, I'm listening. I'm like,
yeah.
this is too, bro.
But it
What,
ain't as easy as you think. You go
right,
snatch
but
it.
it wasn't that I thought it was easy. Although I did think the flow, because I'm looking at the flow was, it's like, yo, this ain't really. He ain't nice like Nas. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking. Like, what is this? This ain't nothing, right? But it was like it was the whole smiley shiny party,
Yeah,
like, and it's not that like everyone like to have a good time, so it wasn't that. It was just like this isn't like ill to me, you know what I mean? It wasn't until I heard Mason on mixtapes that I would start respecting his pen. It was like, oh, he's actually nice. This is something else
see, it's
that
funny
he's doing.
because you just wasn't able to hit it nice in the
Right,
inside the
because
thing.
when I
Like
listen to it, no,
the
that's a fact.
packet,
Because when I
the
listen to it
package fucked
now,
you up. Yeah,
right, the
you could hear it.
package, the
Mm-hmm.
package and presentation messed me up. It kept me
Yeah,
from hearing the genius even in what they were doing. Like now, I can listen to because can't nobody hold me down, right?
yeah.
Right, that can't no one stop me, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Were they in
The
the desert
desert and all
driving
that
a
good shit.
Bentley,
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah.
Yeah. When I listen to it now, I'm like, I can see and I
Nigga was going
recognize
crazy.
Mace Genius. He was going
Yeah,
crazy.
nigga was going crazy.
I didn't get it at that. You know what I mean? Early on
Yeah,
though.
I didn't get Mace at first either, so I get it. I understand. Like the way you felt about Bad Boys, the way I felt about Wu Tang the first time I got hold to it. Like the packaging and the buzzing and the karate shit. I was like, I couldn't the packaging. I couldn't hear the genius for the package. It took me a little minute, but once I
Yeah,
got it, I
yeah.
was like, I get it. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, and
yeah, at
it
first,
was funny. So for me, it was on the opposite end. Like I thought that was dope just because I was into that, right? But to be honest, I just look past all of that and just focus. I'm just listening to them spit, and I'm
nah,
I'm hearing Ray, Ghost, Genius. I'm good. You know what I mean? So I didn't
yeah.
even pay attention to that.
Yeah, it was niggas on there hollering. It was niggas on there chanting. I was like, yo, nah, this is some bullshit.
Uh,
What is
yo,
this? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, when they
yeah,
cut this shit off. But yeah, that was my initial feeling. But okay, you talk about them, they 100% crossed over.
Yeah,
Like 100% crossed over.
right. But in which
Like
of the three categories?
who? Wu-Tang.
Yeah,
All of them.
like
I don't care what category they crossed over in every way you could possibly cross over. The style of music and the
so
attribution, the shit they was appropriating. They was, you know, what I mean, culturally appropriating that. You know what I mean, to a point.
You're so funny. Yeah. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, shit, they crossed
But
over
like
like
then they
to
had
Bob
stuff
Marley
like
status, huh?
right, but then they had stuff that they like reunited, right? Or triumph that everybody recites. Black,
Right.
white, Asian, Mexican. That like he didn't they didn't make that for it. You know what I'm saying? That was like an organic crossover.
Yeah, that was very, very akin to Public Enemy.
Right. That's
Very
what I'm
akin to
saying. Yeah.
Public Enemy. Yeah, very akin to
Right.
Public Enemy. I don't think they. I do think they intentionally use attributes from other music, but the intent was to make good
Oh
hip
yeah,
hop.
For
You see
sure.
what I'm saying? The
But see,
intent was to make good hip
right,
hop.
right. But when I feel like people have done it and compromised is when Wu did Gravel Pit. If you remember
Right.
that single.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's like some
yeah.
more Flintstones. It was literally the worst record they ever made.
To me too. I just had a conversation with somebody online. Matter of fact, I'm gonna say who it was. I had a conversation with she was on the show, Keisha McDougal, Hip Hop Mom from
Yeah,
Straight to Tape
yeah.
podcast.
Mhm.
She loved that song, and every time I hear it,
What?
yeah, she loved that joint. And I'm like, it played at London Bridge a couple weeks ago. I was like, yo, I can't stand this song.
I don't like anything about that song.
Now, I'm gonna tell you the
Nothing.
truth. I don't like it, but I know it, and I think the video made me not like it more. So if they had a
The
better
video
video,
definitely made me
I'm
not like it more.
yeah. So I think if I'd have never seen the video, I wouldn't hate it as much as I do. But the video
Outstanding.
made it clear as to how much they were trying to cross over
Yeah.
unnecessarily. Like you
Well,
already
that's
Wu
why.
Tang.
Right. You don't need to. Right.
You okay? Was that a attempt at crossing over, or just a badass idea?
I
Because
think it
niggas,
was a mixture. I think it was
I'm
a mixture.
because if you keep it 100, like keep it 100, that niggas is not gonna like this statement, but you keep it 100, right? Ghost, Ray, maybe Meth, right? But if
Mhm.
you lump Wu Tang together, ain't none of them niggas. That's not a cool group of niggas.
Now I feel what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? That's not a cool group of niggas. That's a group of niggas that can rap like hell, but that's not like a fly ass cool group of niggas that you would be like, oh, them niggas, you know what I'm saying? They be putting that shit on, they do their thing, you know what I mean? They not that. Ghost and
The
Ray,
moment you take Ghost and Ray out, it's already not
it's a
uncool.
dud. So you could
If
have
you
some
take
lame
Method Man out, it's definitely
so you
uncool.
could have some lame shit go on. You can have some
Yeah.
bad ideas play out. You can have niggas in the gravel pit with furs on. That could be
Yeah.
a you God idea. Who knows?
Right. Yeah. I feel like it was a You Godish idea. Might have been his song originally.
I ain't fucking with you because I'm not getting beat up in New York.
I was
But
just
nah,
saying.
yeah, but you see what I'm saying. So I don't know.
Yeah. For sure.
So that's another thing in claiming niggas crossed over because you don't really know what their intent was and where things really went wrong. Sometimes it's obvious, like Vanilla Ice, obvious attempt at crossover.
Obvious.
Um, who else had obvious attempts at crossovers?
Nas, Owe Me Back, Genuine. See, I
Wow.
think, and to be honest, before that, and I'm thinking, yeah, because that's on the third. That's I Am. Yeah, that was his. He felt like
Yeah.
I gotta do
Yeah.
this, radio commercial job, and some people like it. I hate it. I think it's a terrible Nas song. I think everything about it is terrible.
Take Nas
But
off of it.
as
That
you
shit
know,
fire.
it did good on the radio.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Would you say
And take Nas off of it and it's fire.
that? Well, that's what I was gonna say. If it would have came out and it was just like a genuine song, like
Right.
I would have had probably a different perspective.
But that's why I can't call it a bad song, because Nas didn't fuck it up. You see what I'm saying? I just made that example. Nas didn't fuck it up. He just didn't. You didn't like it because you don't like Nas like that. But it's not a bad song.
Right,
That's kind of what I'm. You see what I mean? That's kind of the point I was trying to make.
right,
But it definitely was an attempt at crossing over. Jay-Z's
right.
Sunshine video was an attempt at crossing over. The song itself, not so
Absolutely.
much. But the video was definitely an attempt at crossing over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
that's wild because we kind of get into an era where it's the music, but
And I
you
would
can
say,
also you can make that mistake in a lot of different areas and still get that crossover moniker, and you know what I'm saying, it get held against you.
yeah, yeah,
Like, because that's what killed Sunshine. Like, niggas say they don't like the songs because the video wasn't. It was attributing too many different styles from too many different places and trying to
right,
make it his own. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't
right,
him.
right.
If he'd have done a
Because
Jay-Z video for that song, they'd have accepted it.
yeah, because the song itself to me,
Yeah,
and
it's a
I
good
think the
song.
song a little bit was crossover,
It
intentionally.
was. It was. I
I,
mean,
I,
he asked the hit bin from Bad Boy to produce it. So yeah, it was definitely an attempt to
right,
cross
right.
over.
He was trying to do his puff formula,
Yeah.
and so I love that. I think the song is crazy. I think the
Right.
beat crazy. I think his verses is crazy. Tits firm like Foxy Nature, Nas and Easy. He was
Yeah.
he was killing it. His verses was dumb,
Yeah.
but
Did you like it then?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. When the album dropped, when it first came out, I loved it.
So, but you wouldn't accept that
I
shit
hated
from
that
Puff.
video though. I
Yeah, but
hated
you
the video
okay? I know we all on the side, but it seemed like you wouldn't accept that style of music from Puff and them though. Like, how the fuck is it okay for Jay-Z to do it?
because Jay Z, like he flowed like Jay Z on that joint.
Okay.
And he was still witty. Like that's why I used that. But I was like, that was
Mm-hmm.
crazy when he was describing the girl and he was like tits firm like Foxy Nature, Nas and Easy. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's still
Yeah.
special with his flow.
Yeah. He's still special. Yeah, I'm with you. I just wanted to know what the difference was. You know what I mean? I just wanted to
Like
know what the
it
difference
was the
was.
way he flowed to it, and the beat was hard as hell.
Yeah, it really was. It really was.
The beat was
Um.
hard as hell. Yeah,
Yeah. I think once we start entering into like the Bad Boy, Rockefeller, there's some pieces in there, but I think we starting to cross. I think we starting to venture into the territory where hip hop is starting to become pop music.
right. And more
And,
money is being poured into the industry. It's no
right,
longer a narrow group, a narrow genre confined to just a few. It's at this time it's
right.
expanding, and what has happened is executives, CEOs are finding out, oh, this hip hop thing, it is a thing that's
Yeah,
going to stay around. It's not
yeah,
fading out, and it's gaining momentum and traction
yeah.
all over.
And
And and, and,
and
and
huh?
I'm and not to cut you, but I want to just make this point. You're 100% right about Wu Tang, right? Because they did something that even more crossed over and really helped hip hop cross over when they went on their tour and went to Japan and throughout Asia. That was '97 with Wu Tang
Right,
Forever.
right.
And
Mm-hmm.
then and you think the people behind the labels didn't see like, oh shit, this is
Mm-hmm.
hip hop thing gonna be around it. People love this.
Yeah.
So now we're on the brink of money being poured in.
Mm-hmm.
Now people really are really going into the dark area trying to cross over
Yeah.
to to be honest, this is the beginning there of chasing the bag. With people not caring no more. I always say 99 and up. That's when I personally start seeing like the dominance of commercialized packaging rap beginning to kind of really
90,
take off.
99.
99.
Hmm.
I'm saying in a big movement
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just kind of calculating what was going on. Uh,
And
yeah.
I'm equating
Well,
that to my
well,
senior year of high school.
right. Well, I think I could understand why you see 99 that way. I think 99 is a gateway to what we see today. I would agree. 99 is around a gateway to what we see today because you have people
Yeah.
like this is just my theory, right? You have people like Puff,
Mm-hmm.
Master P, The beginnings of Rockefeller,
Cash
the
Money, huh?
the
Comes out.
beginning of Rough Riders, the Cash Money. Now you start to see the labels become black people. You see what I'm saying? We actually started getting the bag. You know, and during that era, I would say though, most of those, almost everybody that I named in that, I can't think of nobody that I just named in that group that that didn't do the sound that they wanted to do. I think all of them did they sound, did they art with integrity. You know what I mean? It was just a time where things were flourishing.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was a golden age for boutique label. You know what I mean? Urban boutique labels. You know what I
yeah, yeah.
mean? Um, but from that, like you said, everybody from that point on expected that bag. You know what I mean? Like eras before didn't necessarily expect that bag. If you got LL type status and whatever money he came, you was an anomaly. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But it wasn't expected that you was gonna be mega rich off hip hop
right.
until after that era. And after that era, if you was in the game, you was in it because you thought you was gonna get some money too.
For
Like you thought you
sure.
was nice enough to get some bread doing it. Um, so I would agree. I would agree, but I would also say that coupled with Wu Tang doing that, getting as large as they did, and doing that world tour that you're talking about,
Yeah,
and Eminem hitting the marketplace at around the
yeah,
same, you know what I mean, during the same time span.
yeah.
Uh,
Slim Shady LP, yeah, comes out 97. How My Name
mm-hmm.
is 97. Yeah.
Yeah, you see what I mean. So him being that opened up hip hop to a whole, because you had uh, a crossover artist, a natural crossover artist that was dumb nice.
Yeah.
You know, uh, you add that with hip hop groups blasting off and world touring on their own, and then with the rise of you get the whole Up in Smoke tour. That, in my opinion, because from Up in Smoke, this is in my head how that goes, right? You get that the urban boutique era, you know what I mean, and then that goes world tour with Wu Tang, world tour with Up in Smoke. Along comes 50. You feel me? Along comes 50. Along comes Ye. At that point, right there, and then you got Lil Wayne in the mix,
Yeah.
a total rock star. At that point, right there, hip hop became pop culture, and
Yeah. I agree
the
with
act of
that.
crossing over went to something different.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't know, you listen to a record nowadays, if if it don't sound like it's supposed to cross over, it's just not good.
Right. And then just in the music now in general is kind of just like it's almost like the genre as a whole is just that's what it is, just crossover music. It's just music that just contains a lot of elements from a lot of places, and you know what I mean. And
It's pop music, bro. Hip
yeah,
hop is pop
yeah,
music.
it's pop music
It is the most popular music in America, and I would dare say the planet,
in the world.
in
Yeah,
the world, right? So yeah, that's a that's a prideful place to be, bro. But like that's a plastic place to be too.
it is very,
You know, that's a
very.
very very plastic place to be, and I don't know how long. Like I don't know if it can sustain itself plastic. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
No, I don't think in the present state it can sustain itself like that long term. No. Mm-mm.
Oh, that sucks. I didn't want this conversation to get to this point. Like that's not what I wanted. But I mean,
Oh,
damn.
I can tell you, it won't sustain itself, and it'll be out of the hands of the original creators.
Yeah, that's a done deal at this point.
Yeah,
We
and
just
so
that's a done deal. We just don't know it. Don't enough of us know it yet.
right, and 100 years from now, a history book it'll say that
Jack
what's the
Harlow
man
started
name?
hip hop,
Malone.
huh?
What is his name? Malone. I forget
Post
it. What's
Malone.
Post Malone in the history books that say Post Malone originated hip hop.
I said yeah, and I said Jack Harlow. You said Post Malone.
No,
Yeah.
because in the history book, Jack Harlow gonna be Nas. Jack Harlow put out
Right.
Jack
That's
Harlow put out
crazy.
Illmatic in 2021.
Nah, son. Fuck that. But so okay, crossover artists of the day. Who are they?
mm. Crossover artists of today.
The biggest one right now would be Kendrick.
Kendrick. Okay, so I was thinking it's funny. So I was gonna say, well, I was actually going to ask you about like Lil Uzi Vert, or Little Yachty. What did they start out as opposed to what they are now?
Well, the era they started out in, they started out as pop artists.
So that's how they always was that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uzi was a rock star. The first hit he had, he ain't not been a rock star since.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like that's
All right. And so, all right, yeah. So Kendrick is the biggest, right? But I'll say the biggest unintentional.
right. The
It's like
biggest
it just
unintentional.
happened. He
The
just,
biggest
but see,
unintentional.
but I'm glad we highlighted that because the point is, if you do what you do best and it's good and it's quality, you're good
Right.
at what you do, you will naturally at some point it'll spread.
It should.
Yeah, right,
It
right.
should. It should.
Into other genres, into other
Right.
demographics and draw
Right.
them in.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. But it's not necessarily. You're right. You're right. If you do what you do, right, and you got the support and you got a good team and they can get it to the amount of people that's necessary to get it to, it should work. Especially if
Yeah.
you as great as somebody like a Kendrick. Like if you great at what you do and you stick to your guns and you doing the art that you say you're supposed to do, people will probably receive it, right? Um, and I think I might have got it wrong as the biggest crossover artist of the day because it's probably Drake.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ain't no way in the
Yeah.
hell Kendrick is a bigger crossover artist than
He's not
Drake.
bigger than Drake. But I feel like Drake, like you were saying, Uzi and Yachty always was pop artists or came out to present himself that way. I feel like who Drake is today as the biggest artist is who he presented himself in the beginning. Like I don't think he didn't present himself in the beginning to be, Nas or what I mean, or some trap
It
rapper. He presented himself in a way to where you could see when rap and singing, I'm going
yeah,
to go somewhere with this.
right. But he was a lot more motherfucking Fonte.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
He was a lot more Fonte when he first came out than he is
yeah,
right now. That nigga, you know what I mean? Like he's a whole lot more trap. He didn't have to lean into the trap.
yeah, yeah.
He
He
didn't have to
wanted to.
lean into this. You see what I'm saying? Like he's the ultimate person that attributes different genres and styles of music. You talking
For
about
sure.
crossover? This motherfucker just did a whole house album,
Right, right, right.
and then in the same year, double back and did an album with 21 Savage.
Right.
What? So, you know what I mean? Like he's a style bender.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So yeah, and he's intentionally doing this shit. He's
Yeah.
just so good at it that it's good. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people that don't like it. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Most of the people that I know that don't like it is old heads, like people
Mm-hmm.
my age and a little older. They just refuse to respect that shit. And I'm like, oh god.
But you have to respect. I mean,
That
he's too
nigga
talented.
cold, man. That
Yeah,
nigga cold,
he can
dog.
do whatever.
He could do whatever. That nigga cold, bro.
And then the thing is, as far as addressing the old heads, right? If he did only the kind of music that the old heads would probably want,
Right.
it would shame some of the ones that we love. So
You
you better
right.
be lucky because
Yeah, be
he'd
lucky
be
that
on
nigga
the neck
spreading
up
out. Cause if he
other
just
ones,
stayed on
right?
your fucking neck,
Yeah,
he might strangle your shit. He
yeah,
might move somebody off your list for real.
right.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. If he wanted to stay in that lane, dog, as talented as he is, he could eat niggas' faces off.
Yeah,
He
that's my
spread,
point.
yeah, I know it. He spread himself thin as far as creatively what he tries to do. If he was to focus that shit in on niggas, man, he'd eat niggas' face off, bro. Well, it ain't too many
Yeah,
niggas might be fuck with that boy.
yeah,
You know, and I hate to say it, but it's true.
yeah,
I mean, that's just the truth, bro.
yeah.
That boy cold, and he gonna do it and make people like it. It ain't just that he. That's the thing about crossing over, in my opinion, right? Organically,
Mhm,
like you do what you do, you stay in your pocket, and you can naturally make people gravitate to you.
mhm.
You know what I mean? Like you do what you do, and your swag is so nice. You ain't stepping outside of your pocket, but the people like it. You
Right.
know, that's that's an art.
Yeah, that is. That is.
Or you can take in all different types of art, twist them joints together, and present it as your own.
Mhm.
That's an art, especially if you could do it in a way that feels authentic and people like it. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's what crossing over should be. But
So with that said, is it good to cross over or not?
hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah, yes. I'm a producer. I want as many people as possible to hit a song. I don't know
Right.
how that happens without it crossing over.
Mhm. Mhm.
Am I willing to sell my soul and do some shit I don't like for that to happen? No. If I don't like it, you'll never hear it. But if
Right.
I like it, I'm okay with it as long as I like it. But me
Mhm.
personally, see, I make pop beats like straight pop, shit Britney Spears would sing on.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
make pop music, like it don't make no difference. Like I make all of it. I make R
Yeah.
and B music, like real R and B, do ballads and do up tempo shit.
Mhm.
Janet Jackson might sing on shit. You know what I mean? Whatever. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it wouldn't shame me none to make something that's pop.
Right.
You know, that's the goal, right? To be popular, not to
Right.
sell you,
Right.
not to lose your integrity in doing so. But
Right. And I think that's the caveat that has to be added. Crossing over is good, and being popular is good, right? But to do it and still maintain your musical morality and
right,
integrity
right,
is the key. And I think what people had a problem with earlier on, which like led to like an EPMD making a song creep the crossover or something like that, is that they felt like, well, they were seeing people,
mm,
as you said, a lot of sketchy stuff came out after,
yeah,
but they saw people doing things and compromising it, which I
yeah,
think they felt like was weakening the genre or the craft and the quality of music.
yeah, yeah. And they weren't wrong.
Right. I think it was a
Um,
legitimate concern at the time.
I think it was a legitimate concern. I also would, as a devil's advocate, I would offer that hip hop hadn't been stretched very much at that point,
Mhm.
and because it hadn't been stretched, when people started doing different shit with it, if you got a good response for doing something completely different with it, then people was like, "Wait, you using it wrong."
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like you using it wrong. Like that ain't what that was for.
Mhm. Mhm.
But who's to say what it was for? But I do think it was called for, and I think it's called for now. I think it's something that probably should have stayed in the culture.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you maintain a certain level of integrity. You know,
Mhm.
if you
Yeah,
call it,
it's a good, yeah, a good reminder.
right, right. Because if the
Yeah,
whole thing is pop music, right, and the artist come in the room with me, if the wow, he could say anything. He or she could say
Mhm.
any. They could say anything.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like anything.
Mhm.
There's no limit to what could be said. That's dangerous. Like to me, I don't know if you. I don't know if I'm expressing why it's dangerous, or you know what I mean. I know
Mhm.
I'm not,
Mhm.
but I hope the people can understand why it's dangerous. If you go
Yeah,
in the room and you can, because it's become pop music, I'm only crafting it for the masses.
right.
It's almost full commodity. It don't matter what goes in it as long as the masses will consume it. That's a
Hmm.
dangerous space.
Yeah,
That's a dangerous space.
sure.
That's a dangerous space. Like, you don't end up with songs that save your life. You don't end up with songs you get married to. You don't end up with songs that, you know what I mean? That you had your first
Hmm.
kiss to. You don't end up with them kind of songs when it's 100% commodity. You don't end up with songs, you know what I mean? That means something your senior year of high school, and it means something to everybody.
Hmm.
Like to their heart. You don't get that kind of music if it's full commodity, if it's full pop,
Right,
you know?
right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so music to stick to your bones seems like it's gonna take a L. It's been taking a L though.
Yeah, it's been taking the L for
Yeah.
sure.
So you asked me, do you think it's a good thing the crossover?
Yep, I think so. Long as it's done the right way, like as we said,
Yeah.
with integrity, and you know what I mean, and you
Yeah.
keeping the quality of the music good. Long as a person isn't compromising something
Right.
and it's just all money driven,
Right. Right. Yeah, I
and you're
agree.
just willing to do anything, say anything, like
Yeah.
because then to me it's not even no longer art.
Right. Yeah, once it becomes 100% commodity and you only doing it for the buck, then it's really not. That's really the crossover.
That's the true
That's
crossover.
that's the sellout. Okay, so right before we get out of here, let's make that this. There's crossing over, fine. Selling out,
Hmm.
not.
Hmm.
If you can cross over without selling out, great. Get your bread.
Yeah, yeah,
But if you must sell out the crossover, and by selling out we mean do things musically, promotion wise, whatever it is, do things that are against your character, that are against your integrity, that are against the intent of what you set out to do when you was doing music in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like
right.
then you selling out. You going outside your morals, your musical morals,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
just doing. It's whack. Mm, big. I don't know if he thought Juicy was whack. He just didn't want to do it.
Yeah,
So I won't throw that.
he
I'm gonna
probably
park
just
that.
didn't understand the visual, didn't see it,
Yeah, he didn't want to
or he
do it. I
didn't
ain't
like
gonna
it.
say he thought it was whack. Like, after he did it, he might have liked that shit. Um,
Yeah. Well, they said
but
he hated performing it, but
yeah, well, I guess yeah, that's true. That's true. That is true. So he
yeah,
didn't like that shit. He didn't
nah,
like it till he understood it a bit.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, man. Man, I don't know. This was definitely interesting.
yeah.
We didn't shit on that many people.
Nah, we didn't. We should have, but they would have said that we were doing that just to gain more popularity, so we'd have been crossing over,
Yeah,
compromising our morals and our principles to gain notoriety in the podcast world.
right. And we ain't about that life. So we kept a cordial conversation. We spoke our
Yeah,
minds, but we didn't shit on the
yeah.
way because we just could have wrote a list of people that crossed over and shitted on niggas for an hour.
Oh
But
man,
we didn't do
easily.
that easily.
Mhm.
But we just had a good conversation about, the whole, like we do, a thoughtful and in-depth conversation
Mhm.
about hip hop. That's what we do. So
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I'm going to, like, since we back at it, bro, I'm going to make sure that I'm saying it more. I'm writing it more. You know what I mean? Just so people understand. Like, that's the brand. It's a thoughtful and in-depth conversation about hip-hop, bro. Conversate for a few. You feel me?
Right.
So, I don't know. You think we did enough on this one, man? You got anything else to offer?
Nah, I think we covered everything actually, and we right at about an hour, and I actually think all the things that needed to be addressed, I think we covered, and we laid out the three different categories of crossing over
Yeah.
and what it means when
In the
it started,
three different eras.
three
Yeah.
different eras. Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about the fact that crossing over is less of a thing now because hip hop itself crossed over.
Right, and it's pop music.
And it is pop music. Yeah. So I think it was pretty comprehensive, bro. It's comprehensive. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Yeah,
I enjoyed the discussion. Yeah.
Absolutely. Shoot. With that being said, man, I'm gonna ask y'all to go follow Conversate for a Few on Instagram and search us out on Facebook. Just search Conversate for a Few. There's a few different ways to follow us over there. Go to YouTube and subscribe and hit that notification bell. We drop every Friday at 11 a.m. Hit that notification bell so you know we know when it's coming. We wake up, we be there. Matter of fact, we drop at 7, not 11. I'm wrong. 7. I moved it up 4 hours.
Yeah.
It's good. You have us with your breakfast, if you will. Stay tuned for the limited edition Tang Clan merch. I promise you it's coming. As long as I keep saying it, that I ain't broke my promise. How about that?
Right.
But with that being said, yo, I'm Jonna.
I'm Alan. This was not a podcast about classical music.
Absolutely was not. This is a podcast about hip hop. Make room for the tag.
Conversate for a few.
Hustle, welcome, man, they had to send me. Hustle from Raleigh, live from NC with your hosts, John and Alan. Relate to the two, you are now listening to Conversate for a Few. Check it on SoundCloud, debate with your crew. They talking hip-hop from the late to the new. From July till June end, no Fridays for me, tune in. Please listen to this podcast. 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 Please listen to this podcast.